All right, welcome in to the Questionable Podcast. You got Scotty Questions here with no Miko, but a Gionne.
What's good?
What's happening? We are riding solo, duo today. Miko is on vacation. We wish him and his family the best. They are driving down to Florida. They are heading to, is that Disney World or Disneyland in Florida?
World? Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, anyway, we wish him the best and we miss him. Clearly had some problems getting this started per usual.
Which
when I do
the
this.
last time he left too. You'd think that we would have figured this out by now.
I had it all ready to go, but we'll get into why I was late. I was at the Rocket Mortgage filming Calvin. We'll get into that in a second, but please like, follow, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Please also hop on YouTube, subscribe on our YouTube channel. We are continuing to grow that. We thank all of you, all the crew for the support these days. It's been great. So that's awesome. Also, head over to questionabletees.com for all of our apparel and merch. New line stuff we've been teasing. That is in production right now. John doesn't even know that. I'm announcing that for the first time. It's in production. Can't wait to announce it. We're doing some screen printed pieces, so I'm very excited about that. So that's very cool. And yeah. So to get into why I was like late and all this stuff, John, briefly we touched on. I was at the Rocket Mortgage, last minute phone call, from Peter and Calvin. Yo, can you come get some footage? I'm like, sure, I could get some footage at the Rocket Mortgage for the celebrity 3-hole scramble. Yes, I could do that. So I rolled down there and yeah, it was that Calvin. It was very cool. Calvin was, they did a youth part. I forget the charity, First Tee, I think is the charity. And so they were doing a youth program in the day. So Calvin and some other PGA celebrities were teaching kids about golf, their stance, what to do, listen, basically like, hey, listen to your teachers is really what it was. So that was cool. And we were there hanging out and I was getting some footage of that. And then after that was the celebrity scramble in which like Calvin would be paired with a pro. So he was paired with Jason Day, which was very cool. And, I was like, I got to go, but I think I'm going to stay. So I stayed and I got to meet the likes of, and I will list them. And this was, still surreal to me. I got to meet Will Zalatoris, Jason Day, Ricky Fowler, Tom Izzo, Barry Sanders, Matt Kuchar, to name a few, and was still filming Calvin Johnson Megatron, and shout out to Peter Shin and the crew for hooking me up and getting me in. The original discussion was they weren't going to be able to get me access, and Peter Shin, main man, he was able to lock it in and get it going. So shout out to Peter, shout out to Primitive Cannabis Brands, Calvin and Rob Sims Cannabis Brand. So again, was with them today. That was crazy, but yeah, John, I don't know. And the one thing, okay, so and here's the one thing that I will say. When we think about celebrities and pro athletes and all these people, right? At the end of the day, they're human too, right? That's something that I'm learning. They're just humans. But what's different is all of them that I've met, they're very intuitive. They're sensitive. They can read a room. They can read a person very quickly. And that's my biggest takeaway from today. I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have just guessed they're really, really good and hardworking at their job, at their craft, at their role, whatever. But yeah, it was very interesting to experience that. So man, it was crazy. So yeah, John, I don't know. I'm still reeling from it.
You're glowing.
I'm like sweating. I'm like sweating. A little sunburn too, but I'm sweating.
I tried to use the the polite term, but you're just
yes, I'm sweating. It was hot out.
No, but like you're exuberant. How about that?
Yes, I am exuberant. And I had to talk about it too. I wish Miko was here. to discuss it further. But yeah, it's one of those things that yeah, I wasn't planning on doing it, wasn't supposed to do it, right? I was doing some video for Calvin and Primitive, nothing crazy. And Peter's like, yo, let's go. I'm like, okay, I'll hop on. So anyway, yeah, so just got some footage there. So that was fun. Just helping out friends, right? Helping out businesses, helping out, yeah, Calvin. So let's help him out.
Speaking of helping out, Calvin's paying it forward. Did you see this tweet today that Calvin has said he is? Oh, you didn't? Oh,
no. What happened
in the chat? No, Calvin came out and said he is open to mentoring Jameson Williams.
Stop it.
Yeah. Did
JMO ask for it?
I don't know how it came about, but Calvin Johnson tells ESPN he's willing to mentor rookie Jameson Williams. Quote, I don't mind being that person to help guys alleviate that learning curve, especially with him being drafted highly. So it's a lot of high expectations on him. I know what comes with that. So I don't know how that came about, but
Calvin tweeted that today.
Who was that? I don't think Calvin tweeted that, but that was Eric Woodyard saying, posting a quote from an ESPN interview with Calvin Johnson where he said that.
Got it. Okay.
So, well, which kind of makes it sound like his issues with the organization are sort of alleviated as well.
Well, I don't think it was the organization. I don't want to speak for him, right? But from what I have heard, it wasn't
WCF.
It wasn't the organization. So I'm gonna just, it wasn't not the organization. I want to say it wasn't the team. It wasn't the team. It wasn't the coaches. It wasn't the leaders. It wasn't right. The functioning
process
body.
Of elimination.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to speak for him. I don't know. Again, This is me hearing, and this is not from anything around him. This is just what I've heard, through those that know a couple of things. But again, I don't know. Hopefully they work it out. Hopefully Calvin's around. We'll see. If I'm lucky enough to ever film him again, I'll hit him an elbow. Like, come on, man, get in there. And I'm probably saying too much too, like right now, honestly. But I don't know. So.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to imagine it's tough to have the same attitude towards an organization when that organization completely top to bottom is different, even from coach, general manager, and even ownership. How many times does that happen where ownership actually changes? I remember my dad, I was talking with him just the other day, and I told him, because we were talking about the Red Wings, and he's actually looking forward to the new season. He's excited.
No way.
Yeah. He's like actually looking forward to it. And then I told him that he should also be looking forward to the Lions season, and he just burst out laughing. And he's like, 52 years, John. And I said, yes, but like that whole time you've just always said that the only thing that hasn't changed, they've changed players, assistants, water boys, coaches, GMs. They've never changed ownership.
Water
and
boys.
You had like William Clay, and then Martha, but they were a duo, and it just didn't seem like she ever wanted to do it. It seemed like it was a mantle she accepted,
Sure.
but it wasn't, and then Sheila steps in. I said before, collegiate athlete. She was applying for jobs in the NFL in the 80s. She had jobs. Yeah. She wanted to work in the NFL. Like, that's what she wanted to do.
Wow. And, good for her.
I don't know if she ever got that job.
Well, no, because it was the 80s, and it was the boys' club.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Like,
yeah. It helps when your dad like owns one of the teams, but still still
she didn't get a job,
it's
right?
Still definitely, it's still definitely that the club mentality. So like just her heart's in it. And we started talking about Calvin.
It's all
I'd have
good.
to imagine that all of Calvin's grievances, and again, Scott, you're gonna have to ask him. See if I'm right.
If I see him again, right? That's
Yeah, which you're going to. Let's be real.
okay.
I mean, I saw the handshake, I saw the high five. On the Scott has a great video on his phone of him giving Calvin some great advice. He was like he was his ring coach, and Calvin was like in the corner. He was doubting himself, and Scott gave him a little pep talk, and Calvin would have been nailed this putt. And Calvin turned around and gave this huge smile to Scott, high five, handshake. It was a pretty heartwarming moment. So if I'm going off of that, I'm gonna have to say that you're gonna be seeing him again,
at least on the golf course, right? He'll want me around to make some big putts, right? So what John's speaking to is, again, that celebrity scrambles. They played 3 holes and they played with a pro. Calvin was playing with Jason Day, and what happened was Calvin was, there was a 3rd hole, and people had all gotten their piece of Calvin, right? Let's be real, it was crazy. Like Calvin's had 30 to 40 people. There was nobody. This was the first day the course was really open for some of these events, and there was 30 to 40 people trying to clamor for he needed a bouncer. It was really crazy to see. It was, that has to be scary too, right? I'm sitting there in the back, what the? I'm like, everybody's like, back up, give him some space, dude. They were like, it was crazy. Still, Calvin, Megatron. I mean, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer and a big deal, but people love Calvin. So anyway, hole 3, we're getting there. He thinks he's not playing well. He's playing just fine, And so we're walking up and he goes, Scotty, man, how you doing? I'm like, I'm working. I'm filming, no problem. Grinding. I'm like, how are you doing? He goes, man, I got nothing today. I got nothing. I'm like, that's not true. Calvin Johnson. I go, come on, man. We're going up for a putt. It's a par 3. So Jason Day hit a good shot. They're putting, and they're looking at another birdie. So Calvin's just like, man, I got nothing. I'm like, yes, you do. I go, it's fine. I go, it's just one shot. I go, it's just one shot. It's just one putt, man. Stay positive. You got this. You roll this right in. He goes, all right. He goes, you think so? I go, yes, 100%. You're going to roll this right in. He goes, okay. So he steps up, and I have footage on my phone and the camera of it. He steps up. He's the second one to go, and he nails it. And so everybody freaks out, jumps up. And then he turns back toward me, and he points at me with the Calvin point. Everyone's seen the point. He used to point at Stafford. That point to Scotty. He goes, and I walk up, and I just kind of go, I told you. He gave me this big high five. He goes, yes, you did. I'm like, and my face, I told you. So
yeah,
it was out of this world. I can't, I can't. And I'm going to circle back to my spiritual guide, mentor, Jamie Carpenter. Shout out to Jamie. We saw him 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago now. And, his house, we call it a portal. And when people go through the house, their lives change, and stuff has been crazy for the past 2 weeks. So again, shout out to Jamie Carpenter. Thank you, Jamie, Lacey, John, Rachel, everybody for getting me over there. So anyway, having said that, having gotten into all of this, this was a crazy day for us. Yes, but let's get into some Lions. Hard Knocks is coming up, right? Is it
ever 2 weeks? 2 weeks from today.
They're filming today. They've started filming. They're here filming. So
no, I'm saying it airs.
It airs.
Yeah.
We might have to do a live podcast, John. Gionne, LA to LA. Miko.
Someone's gonna have to give me I lost my HBO login.
I have one.
Oh, great. Awesome.
So I got you, bro.
Nice. Thanks.
Was the HBO login that you lost my previous one?
No, it was my sister's. We were doing the Hulu Plus.
Yeah.
And we were sharing it with her, and then she and her husband were giving us their HBO. So it was a little swap. And so I've told her, the gravy train on the Hulu, the ad-free Hulu, the gravy train running out. If I don't get that HBO, this was a deal. And
what was said in response, now that they're living large on the island, where are they living island life now?
Yeah, island living in Maine.
Right.
Island living.
Island life.
I don't know if steel drums. I don't know if like the steel drums work, but that'd be
No, but
she literally takes a ferry to get to work in the morning, which is nuts.
I used to take a ferry in New York sometimes when the subway was shut down.
Oh,
Technically an island, Manhattan, right?
I mean, not technically, it is an island.
Well, it isn't. Okay, there we go. Thanks, John.
There's no technically, but literally. No, anyway, so Calvin back with the organization, mentoring Jameson.
I mean, I hope so. That's crazy. I would love to see it.
Yeah. Hard Knocks, though.
Hard Knocks on its way. Our apparel, that I can't wait to see this shirt screen printed. So it's just a lot of exciting stuff coming up. We've teased it forever. I can't wait for this season to start. I can't wait for all this to pop off. I mean, it's going to be unreal. It's going to be unreal. It's already been unreal. Past 2 weeks have been unreal. It's going to get crazier. So buckle up, everybody. We're going to go for a ride and we'll see what happens. But yeah. But anyway, so the Hard Knocks. Okay, so real quick, John. So Hard Knocks, what are your expectations for Hard Knocks? So and what I mean, okay, so
I don't understand the question.
Okay, so your expectations, like how good do you think it's going to be? Do you think this will be one of the best Hard Knocks ever? You think this will be okay? The question over. I think this might be one of the best Hard Knocks ever as well, or in a long time. I think that's fair. Now, we briefly talked about who we think is going to stand out, right? We've already talked about that, but let's just mention again. Do you have any names that are going to stand out to you?
Well, I'm gonna add a big asterisk to my previous answer. I've never watched Hard Knocks before, so so me saying it's gonna be the best one.
Sorry, I'm trying to hydrate. I haven't eaten or drank anything today, so I'm having a Gatorade.
I was trying to get
it out all over my. Yeah, he almost got me. That was very close.
But no, so Detroit Lions media team, I think they've been doing a really great job. They put out a couple videos on their YouTube page. The Guess Who for Father's Day, they had the changing the diapers. And then the most recent one they just put out, it was a little long, could have used some editing, but the concept was fantastic. They had they paired them up, and one person had noise canceling headphones, and the other person had like a word or like a phrase that they had to say, and they had to guess.
The phrases were funny too.
Yeah, they were like all from Step Brothers. Will Ferrell movies. I feel like someone in the Lions PR team.
Where did Seatbelt? It was Hakuna Matata, Seatbelt Gang.
It was You Sit on a Throne of Lies.
Sit on a Throne of Lies. Grizzly Man
Did
Outdoors.
We Just Become Best Friends? Grizzly Man Outdoors was a great one. That was just a great, yeah. But yeah, so you see the camaraderie, you see the friendship, you see the it's no joke that when they say family, I've worked for my fair share of companies that said they're a family. Most hilariously, I had a stint in Barnes and Noble after college, and like this giant mega conglomerate was like, "Oh, we're a family." I don't know if maybe are they still in? I don't even know if they're still in business, but
Barnes and Nobles.
Yeah,
I don't.
Maybe
there might be a few left. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be a few.
Put them out of business. But
yeah, it was really funny because like they were huge on the family rhetoric, which was such a joke. But I digress. I'm gonna. I'm all over the place today.
It's okay. It's okay. Miko's not here. Hard Knock.
No, he's not.
It's okay. When the parents away, the kids will play. It's fine.
Yeah.
Not a problem. He knows this is going to be an interesting episode, and he's really excited to listen to it, I'm sure. He doesn't even know I was there today.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
but no,
this happened yesterday. I got yesterday. This is all nobody knows. Yeah.
Nice.
So anyway,
no, I think honestly, so Jamal Williams is going to be, I think, the obvious choice because he's just so animated. So I'm going to try and
the Guess Who thing. It was he's so funny.
Yeah. But I think honestly, Frank Ragnow, I think is going to be an odd standout because like I feel like he does have a very good sense of humor. He's just a huge, enormous, massive human being
Right.
who like can like probably live off the grid, and who does, I think, like every off season he just goes in his cabin in Canada.
Well,
And just
Grizzly
like
Man
lives.
Outdoors, isn't that what that
Yeah.
was about?
Yeah. So, and there were a couple things from last season where he kept sneaking that into, like, he knew that the person he was talking to was mic'd. So he would go up to them and talk to them about Grizzly Man Outdoors. And after a few times, like, you realized what he was doing, that he was just going up and randomly talking to everyone who he knew was mic'd up for like the, I think it was like the mic'd up segment or whatever. So I think Frank Ragnow is going to be a surprise on the show. I think Aubrey Pleasant is going to steal a lot of the show. I think he's just such a high energy guy. I actually did see an interview. It's one of like the producers of Hard Knocks was interviewed by Detroit Free Press or something, and she said that Dan Campbell was actually quite reserved, or like quite kind of toned down. He was not the, I'm sure that they were hoping for like a frothing at the mouth, kneecap inspirational speech, like standing on the desk. But
Sure.
so I don't think he gave that to them. But I think like Aubrey Pleasant, I think is going to kind of steal that show, because like Aaron Glenn, just I'm going to get into. And
yeah, we're going to talk
go
about this
listen to that.
interview in a second. Yes, I have questions. I haven't seen it. You can tell me about it. And
I think like Aaron Glenn is going to come off as just the brain trust. Like I think Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn both are going to come off as like, yeah, the mad scientists, or the calm, collected, cool scientists.
right.
And then I think Aubrey Pleasant is going to not steal the show, but I think he's going to pop, as we say in the business.
So in that statement, I'm wondering if Dan Campbell might be, for the Hard Knocks, reserved. Like he might not be like what we expect, right? He came in, and let's think about this too, right? He came in.
Well, this is what you said last season. Like he's going to do whatever he needs to do to let everyone around him shine.
Thank you. That's where I was going. You're right. Yeah, I called this in that he's going to let the players shine, because the players are going to win. The players have to continue to gel, and the fact they already are. Last season was a huge start, and what we're seeing from these little games and all this, I mean, the 3 championship teams I was a part of, we were the best of friends. Like I knew what the other person was going to do before they were going to do it. I knew what they were going to say. I knew, you just knew, even the people you didn't really like on the team, you still knew how they were going to act or react to situations. So you could anticipate their actions for your actions to get a half of a step on a person to score a goal. That was my goal. Like I just had to get a half a step. I needed less than a second to just hit the ball. Like I needed to know where that ball was, half a step for anybody else, so I could hit it in the net. I mean, and that's what I'm seeing from this team. I'm seeing them become a team, right? When we say team, it's like, okay, yeah, it's a team. They have jobs. But this to me looks like a real team, like an actual football team that believes in each other, that trusts each other, that can rely on each other. That's what I'm very excited to see in Hard Knocks and this season.
Okay. Yeah. Completely agree.
So to your point, yeah, we called it. Questionable called it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aside from Hard Knocks, I'm not really sure what else to expect. As I said, I don't really know. Like I never watched the show, so I don't think I can comment too much.
So yeah, so Hard Knocks is great. They get, I mean, they tell the story, right, of the team. So they typically follow the first guy in the building. They just tell the story of the day, right? They're just filming the days, and what they're doing is they're putting together storylines in real time. They have a week to do it. So it's going to be whoever shows up and shows out at these practices, and it's going to be very interesting who that person is, right? So whoever is performing the best, they'll talk about, and then they also talk about who's the worst, right? So they talk about guys that are on the bubble, like they'll talk about, and they'll interview the guys at the bubble that might or might not make it. So who was the one that POD said wasn't going to make it yesterday?
Oh, well, he said Craig Reynolds. Jeremy Reisman said that Craig Reynolds is out. Which,
Well, but Reynolds will be a big part of Hard Knocks, right? As somebody that might be in or out, and like so that's what they do. So they do bubble in or out. They'll talk about Jared Goff and the Rams a ton. They're going to talk about the new players acquired, and they're going to talk about the coach. And then what they'll do in there is who is playing the best amongst the team, right? They'll show the highlights, and then they'll show the lowlights. And then when we have practices with the Colts or whatever team we're practicing against, they will show like the fights and skirmishes and get into that. And then they show inside also the their classrooms, right? When the Lions coaches are teaching them, they're going to show. So to your point of Aubrey Pleasant, yeah, that'll be interesting for sure.
okay, nice.
Yeah. So that's how they kind of do it. It's like on the field, in the room, and then showing kind of the situations and stuff that happens around it. And I think the Lions will have a lot of funny situations, which they'll be able to talk about and show like we've seen on social. So that's how it works.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I think speaking of coaching staff, I want to touch on, before we get into the Aaron Glen interview, I wanted to touch on the latest hire, TJ Barrett.
Yeah.
Hired as an offensive assistant specifically for the quarterbacks. Now, this might just seem like a run-of-the-mill hire, but I think there's a little bit more behind it. As last season, Lions carried, as we all know, 2 backups, Boyle and Blau. Neither were really worth much on the field, but apparently they were both kept around because they were great in the film room. They were both very great at diagnosing issues and studying film and helping Jared to grow to become the person and player that he was towards the end of the year.
Right.
However, that takes up a roster spot. So my thinking is they bring in TJ Barrett to get that other set of eyes and that other brain in the film room so that they can let go of either Boyle or Blau. It's going to be a genuine battle. And because I think, as we've talked about, wide receiver, I think they're going to carry 6. Like, I think that's what this is for. I think they're bringing this in so they can carry 6 wide receivers.
I think that's fair. I think I listened to Jeremy and the crew yesterday. I gifted 10 subscriptions also. So the Questionable Podcast showed up yesterday to help support POD. We support you guys. Appreciate what you do.
Except for the Craig Reynolds call. I don't appreciate it.
Well, we'll see. Here's the thing, John, we'll see. And when Craig Reynolds stays, we can get Jeremy on and you can talk to Jeremy about it. Like, we'll get Jeremy back on.
Fat, I told you so.
Get you. And I know Jeremy, and he'll be like, well, yep, you're right. That's all you'll get. That's all you'll get. So, but we'll see what happens there. But yes, they were saying the same thing. One of those guys goes. TJ Barrett is in the house, so they can do that. And I do agree. I think it is a wide receiver. They want to keep more wide receivers. I think that's fair. Because we're going to need them. So, yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. So no disagreement here. The only thing would be running backs, right? Do they keep, like, my only argument would be, like, would they keep another running back?
Yeah. So maybe they don't need to keep a wide receiver, as I was just thinking about this, because they could start Jameson Williams is on the PUP list, or the NFI, either one. I can't remember which one, but it's only 4 weeks now. Say what's it?
So what Jeremy was saying yesterday, which I didn't know also, is the NFI injury is a non-football injury because he was injured on a college field, not on an NFL playing field. Mm-hmm. So that's what NFI is. So they could theoretically take him off. Right. They could take him off before the season. Then it doesn't, he's not on the PUP list. So they're trying to organize what they're going to do. And so they're figuring out what they want, their strategy in regards to the PUP list. They're figuring out right now. So we'll probably learn that in Hard Knocks, to be honest, a little bit.
Did the POD guys talk about, from my reading, it really seemed like the amount you participate in training camp can get you taken off the PUP list. Like, it's 4 weeks that you have to sit out. Mm-hmm. if you're on the PUP list, but then you can you can participate a certain amount during training camp, and that it's like with the salary caps, like there's so many, not loopholes, but exemptions and carve outs. And if this, then that, it really seemed like.
There is a ton, and I don't know all of them. They did not cover all of that, so I don't know. We should actually try and get Eric Schlitt on to talk about that. That'd be great.
Okay.
He could talk. Maybe we'd get him on to talk about that, or Jeremy, to explain to us and our listeners what that is and what that means. I don't know anything. I was gonna try and pretend I knew something. I did.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not
Always,
going to try and do that.
Honesty. We're all about honesty here at Questionable Podcast. Cards on the table. We are a cards on the table.
We don't know, and we think we know, and we're wrong. That's fine. Hey, we're here just trying to have fun, trying to talk about the lines, get these kittens rolling. So I don't know. We're gonna have to get Eric or Jeremy on to talk about that, or we can figure. We'll know more. Again, we don't know. We're still weeks out. We're still a month out.
Yeah.
So we just need to kind of wait and be patient, or we can get, I think we talked to Miko, get Erica on and see how they can explain it for us.
One thing, speaking of PUP and NFI, one thing that was very encouraging, at least to me, was that James Mitchell was not put on the either PUP or NFI list. He was another guy drafted, injured, but he did not get that injury designation as Josh Paschal or Jamison Williams got. So it really seems like he's going to be a full participant. And as Jeremy said in our interview with him about a month ago now, maybe more, that James Mitchell is probably going to step in as a rookie as our tight end too. So I think it was very important for him not to carry that injury designation. Because I think being Hard Knocks, the bubble guys, I think the tight end between Zylstra, Brock Wright, Devin Funches, and James Mitchell, I think that's going to be an exciting one to watch, just because, there's only one guarantee up there, and that's TJ Hawkinson.
Right.
And then there's how many spots did they carry? Because anyone other than TJ Hawkinson is not a lock for the roster. Unlike, running back, it's pretty much you're going to carry Swift, Williams, Reynolds.
Right.
So anyone beyond that is kind of a question mark, but the bubble battle will be exciting to watch.
Can't wait. And they'll show that. That'll be a big part of, that's a big part of Hard Knocks is the bubble watch, right? And then they show the meetings of when the coach has to let guys go and say, it's just not going to work right now, but we got your number. We'll reach out. And I can't wait. I honestly, we are so close. And listening to the POD guys yesterday, they're just all so excited. They're so close. We're all so close. It's like,
yeah,
it's like Christmas, like, oh my, like as a kid, right? We're like, it's like 2 days away and you're freaking out. Oh my God, it's Christmas.
Yeah. Especially when I was raised Catholic and we had those little Advent calendars.
Oh,
every day, like you open it up and you get the color candle and you're like, oh my God, was it the purple one? It's like the one right before. As we can tell, I'm still very Catholic. Still very Catholic.
I wasn't going to say anything, so we'll leave that be.
But no, yeah, it's.
Sorry.
Yeah, when you arrive in
apologizing for that.
When you arrive in godless California, they make you disavow any organized religion right at the border. I came in from Arizona, and there was like a kiosk, a steak guy, and they say,
"Oh my God!"
and they tell you that you can't. This is godless California. You can't worship anything here. So,
okay, all right, okay, moving on. All right, so I think we covered Hard Knocks enough. Okay, so let's get into the Aaron Glen interview, right? I haven't heard it. POD guys talked about it. John, you watched it, listened to it. Can you give me an overview of the Aaron Glen interview? But before that, can you give me some perspective on your viewpoint of it, right? We talked beforehand that you have a perspective coming from your Taekwondo background. And for those that don't know, John was a badass Taekwondo, athlete. What would I call that?
Sure.
Like martial
Yeah.
arts? Like what was
Mhm.
Taekwondo? It would be Taekwondo athlete. How does that? What would I say? How would I say it?
Competitor, fighter,
Fighter. Sorry. There you go.
fighter. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was right there.
but to me, it's so much more, right? The stories you told me growing up, right? John and I grew up across the street from each other, and so he would go to Taekwondo. He'd have his what is it called? What was it called? Your gi?
No, gi is Japanese. It was a dobak.
A dobak. So he had his dobak, and I'd watch him get, because I always looked across the street at John, like, what's John doing today? So I'd watch, and then he'd get in his car with his dobak. He'd walk out with his dobak, and then he would put his hands together, but for the car, and be like, "Thank you for the car," and get in the car.
No.
He would bow to the car. No, it's in my revisionist history. So no, John would go and he'd come back. He'd tell me all these stories, and he was breaking planks, and he was winning. Right? He and his sister Kate. Your sister Kate was very, very good too. There was not a lot of female Taekwondo fighters, in the 80s, right? Early 90s at this point, right?
Yeah, pretty much the 90s. Yeah.
Okay. But still, you
Late
guys were
90s,
great. You did it. And but what I'm trying to get at is John would come back and tell me stories of all this discipline. It like wasn't fighting. I was like, "Would you fight?" He's like, "No." Like, what do you mean you're not fighting? You're learning Taekwondo. You were like, "Yeah, no, we're not." So that's what I'm trying to start here, John. Is like, so that's what I understand in regards to your background in regards to that. So you're going to give us this Aaron Glen interview with that lens, right?
Yeah, because Easy also talked about this in Woodward Sports. POD talked about it. So I definitely wanted to, it's something I wanted to talk about. It was a fantastic interview, and Aaron Glen is a fascinating individual. But I wanted to approach it a little bit differently than Easy or the POD guys, as good as their segments were. And so this is kind of what I decided on. And this really, I'm going to loop back around, but this interview honestly helped me make my peace with the fact that Aaron Glen might be gone after this year with a head coaching job. I know we've talked about it before. I really hope he's not. I hope he sticks around at least one more year. Hell, I hope he sticks around 5 more because he's just a great coach and a great guy. But if he leaves, I think I'm okay with it because of this one segment that he said that spoke to my experience in martial arts. And it really comes down to his philosophy of like how he views the game, like what he sees football as. And I think his response was literally his own version of biting kneecaps. Aaron Glen's a different guy than Dan Campbell, different whole life experience, everything. So he's going to say it in his own way. Dan Campbell talked about, we're going to meet you face to face. And if you knock us down, we're going to get right back up. And as we're getting up, we're going to bite a kneecap off. You can knock us down. We're going to get back up. We're going to take another kneecap off. And you knock us back down. You get back up. We're going to take another hug out of you until we are the last one standing. And so that attitude is really what resonated with me. I was like, oh, Aaron Glen has the exact same attitude as to what this sport is. And so I actually wrote down the quote. At the end of the day, this sport is about one man whooping another man, which is great.
It's true.
And he says, so he talks about, the modern offense and like the modern NFL and how it is, in terms of the mechanics of the game, it's weighted to give the offense an advantage. And he talks about that because he talks about the one advantage the defense has is fear. The defense can put fear into the mind of the offense. And he says, quote, The fear is already there for an offense because of the way the rules are, all right? But our advantage is we make sure we knock the hell out of you every time so that they know every time the ball is thrown or ran, we are going to knock the hell out of you. And he goes on to say that this isn't going to say that we're trying to injure you, but this is the only opportunity we have for an advantage.
Right.
Because the actual the structure of the game is weighted to be in the offense's favor. And so that whole attitude of like, we are going to knock the hell out of you. We're not going to hurt you, but we are just going to, we're going to knock the hell out of you. And that's what spoke to my time with martial arts. I was lucky enough. I went to the Grosse Pointe Academy of Taekwondo on Vernier and Mac.
GPAT.
We were lucky enough to have the guy who started that, Dojang, had a pipeline to like the Korean national team back in Korea. So we would get all of these like former Korean national champions to come teach. And they were pretty hardcore, which like 7th grade me loved. And that was just the attitude. They're like, yes, this is a sport, and there are judges assigning points, and 1 point for a body shot, two points for a headshot. And this is a sport, and you don't want to hurt the other guy, but this is also a fight, and you're going to win it. Just
right.
Because that's it. Because it's a fight, and you're going to win. And so the training was all centered around that. Is that, yeah, this is a game, it's a sport, but it's a fight. And Aaron Glen didn't use the word fight. He kept using the word battle.
Okay.
But I mean, synonyms, right? And so every single one of his answers was kind of centered around the concept of this being a battle. And at its core, he talks about his philosophy. I also wrote this one down. He said, Schefter kind of prods him. Aaron Glen gives a very humble answer to a question. I can't remember what the question was, but then Schefter kind of prods him and kind of chides him a little bit and says, well, I mean, you were the fastest guy on the team. Like the humility is great, but you were the fastest guy on your team.
Right.
And so Aaron Glen responds, quote, "That's true, but the essence of this game is about toughness, aggressiveness. It's about one man whooping another man. All right. That's the essence of this game. And I think when you break it down to its most simplistic form, to that each man winning his battle, but make sure you also know that as a team concept that allows you to go out there and win games. And every player knows I have an individual battle I have to win. And I just knew as a player what I have to do that the other person doesn't, that his opponent doesn't. Speed, quickness, whatever that was, that's what it was for me. That's what I focused on as a player because my speed allowed me to best the other man. His speed allowed him to win my individual battle. And so just to
step on somebody else to make the play, right? Like we talked about earlier, right? In knowing where people are going to be and how they're going to react so you can get that step. Yeah. But he was fast. And so that's how he got his step. And that's funny because I wasn't the best on the soccer field or the hockey ice, but I was the fastest. And I made sure I was the fastest so I could have that step. So I could theoretically make a mistake, but still I was faster than you. So I still was there first. So it didn't matter. So I'd have more chances. I would have more bites at the apple, right? So theoretically, right, you have more opportunity to make those changes in a game that we're talking about that we need to do as a team to win.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, and that was the same with me in Taekwondo. I was very fast. And
you were fast.
My instructors I was like 12, 13 years old, and they would have me fighting like 17-year-old, like seniors in high school. And like they told these seniors in high school, like, don't hold back, hit him. Like if he makes a mistake, hit him. And so I got very used to like at 12, 13 years old getting like kicked in the chest by like 17-year-olds at like full, but then you step into the ring with another 12-year-old and you're like, oh shit.
Like later. We'll see you later. John won a game. John won a game. We're about to celebrate. Yeah.
But no, then like, so, I mean, talk about any fear that you had. Cause like, I mean, it is scary. You're stepping into the ring with someone to fight them. I mean, it could be scary, but like after fighting seniors in high school, like I'm not afraid of, of anyone my
Yeah, but
age.
you still
Back
had the
then.
stones to step in that ring with seniors. So you got to give yourself credit to do that, right? And to trust your teacher, right? So there's
Yes.
trust, right? So there's trust, which I want to circle back and say that these players trust these coaches because they were players. So that trust is huge. And that's what I said earlier. The trust of the team is great, right? That Lions are becoming a team. I'm seeing it in front of my eyes. It's unbelievable. But the trust they have to have with their coaches, right? So the best teams I was on had the best coaches that we trusted. The worst teams with the best talent had the worst coach, right? Where we walked off the field. Like, no, we're like, I remember this. I'm not very proud of it, but I remember Dimitri and I, and we played with Casey, right? We were on that, the travel, the Gators team. We played all over. But that was the coach was so bad and so disrespectful that I remember one time I like had a breakaway and he was yelling at me and I just stopped the breakaway and I turned to yell. I just stopped. I'm like, dude, like, stop. What do you like? I'm not going to score this goal with you screaming at me over. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, and I'm not proud of this and kids don't do this. But when a coach is a bully, that was a questionable moment for me. Right? Nobody was happy. My parents weren't happy. Nobody was happy. The team understood why I did it and made a point, and he never did it again to another player on that team while I was on the team. So I made a statement. I dared to be questionable there and said, no, I'm not doing this for you. You bullying me from the sidelines. Coaches, everyone has to be accountable for what they say, especially on the sports field. I mean, everywhere, but when you're, when you're verbally abusing teenagers, it's not fair. It's not right.
Yeah, let's put it into perspective. Yeah, he's verbally abusing teenagers.
He's verbally abusing a teenager, and I said, I'm not having it. I'm gonna go sit down in the middle of a breakaway. I made a sweet move, and he said something. I forget what he said, and that's why it's not important, right? But it was just the entire game berating all of us. And I was the one to make the move, and I did it for the team, and I don't. Yeah. And to this day, if it happened again, I would do it again. I would do it again.
Absolutely, yeah.
No,
I like between you and Casey, I actually went to, I don't know if it's a couple practices or games, and that coach was awful.
Just screaming, Dimitri, terrible. Dimitri. I just remember the Dimitri screams. I would block out the Scott, like the Valley scream. Scott, get over here. No, it's not part of the game, bro. Like, that's no. Like, have you played this sport before? You know what I mean? It was one of those, like,
right.
And he just like, he was an ego. It was an ego trip. It was an ego trip for him. And it sucked, but I played with the best guys I've ever played with. And that, really helped in college, so that was, it's stuff you got to do and people you got to deal with, but there's limits to that, right? You have to say no or dare to be questionable. That was one of my questionable moments. That's one, and I forgot about that until now. But anyway, so sorry.
But no, so all of that I think circles back to what you were saying about trust in the coaches, and I think you used another word earlier, and I was going to try and tie that into my experience with Taekwondo was discipline, and like that's why, like. That is why they hammer, or at least my instructors, that's why they hammer discipline so much, so often, so repetitively, was because they were telling you, whoop this man, beat the hell out of your opponent. Because there is such a fine line between that and then like not getting carried away to like performing at that limit, but then also having that mindset of, but I'm not going to hurt this. Like I'm not going to hurt this person, but I'm going to compete at the absolute maximum that I can. And that ultimately
that's so hard because
it's a question of discipline.
But you can hurt that person, right?
Yeah, but that's not your intent. And
correct. Right. So when I broke my leg in college, that was their intent, though, right? So
Right.
you
Yeah.
run into people that will try to hurt you to get an advantage and to be that, but they're not everybody's out there to be a good sport, unfortunately, and it's tough. And I think that
Yeah.
I just
What's one of my sorry.
no, go ahead, John, go ahead.
One of my favorite things to watch, and Instagram, the algorithm picked up that I really like these videos, are either boxing or MMA or any other kind of fight where the fighter disrespects the other fighter and then like
Yeah,
immediately like gets like just knocked out. They
right.
really or at the weigh-in, they do something super, childish or whatever at the weigh-in, and then they cut to the fight, and then that person just gets demolished. Those are some of my I love those videos. If you've got a link to a good one, please leave it in the comments. I will I'll check it out. But yeah, so it was always discipline that kept you from going to that place where your intent is to injure.
Right.
That's always a question of discipline, and it really seems like from Campbell to Glen and to, I'm sure in his own way, Ben Johnson, it certainly seems like sort of almost an intellectual discipline, because like it seems like
Right.
Aaron Glen's philosophy is we're going to instill the fear of God in you, and Ben Johnson's version of that is we're going to outmaneuver you, basically.
I'm just so excited to see what happens. I mean, honestly, John, we just have to watch it unfold. This will be one of those. I mean, it's going to be probably the best Hard Knocks. And I'm going back to Hard Knocks because into this interview with Aaron Glen, this will be the last time these coaches are together, right? If you think that he's probably gone, you're probably right. Probably get a head coaching job, right? But maybe he turns it down for one more year to get these guys to the, if they can turn around and get to the playoffs, like I've heard of guys turning down head coaching jobs because, hey, I got a winner right here. I built this, and we're gonna go. I mean, there's a chance. I mean, he's not that old, right? He could stay here for 2 years. He could do a couple more years and see if this works through Dan Campbell's contract and be like, yo, let's try and make a run. I mean, that's what we're trying to do here, right? We're trying to make a run to the Super Bowl. Like, that's the goal, right? And we are, as weird as it sounds, we're the closest we've ever been. We're not really close, but hey,
coming off 3-13. No, hey, that's what's so crazy about it, is coming off of a 3-13.
There are teams that go in this league, in the NFL. There are teams that go from 0 to hero in one season. It has happened. They have done it. I'm not saying the Lions are going to do it, but I'm saying that they could. I mean, if everything goes their way and they get every bounce, they could be in the playoffs. They could get the wild card, right? I mean, in a perfect world, right? If they plant their seeds and they grow, right? All of the work they've been doing, even last year. I mean, that theoretically, right? We'd love to see that, but probably not, right? Probably still 7 wins, but you don't know. Maybe we get a couple of the bounces we didn't get last year because we paid our dues last year, right? We paid our dues. Goodness, did we pay our dues last year, right?
Yeah.
Jeez. How many close games we lost, bounces we didn't get. What if we got them this year, right?
No, that was literally Easy's point on Woodward. Like, a lot of people don't remember because it was so crushing, it was so devastating. But that Justin Tucker 66-yard kick for Baltimore to win, that hit the upright, and like the one that's parallel to the ground. It hit it and then bounced backwards and went through the uprights. So like literally like what you just said, a couple of those bounces, if if it bounces the other way, then we win that game 17-16. And so yeah, like you're saying, a couple of those bounces go the other way, a couple of those close games that were within 3 points. I think we had 5 games with 3 points.
Yeah. So anyway, so back to Aaron Glen interview. What are a couple other takeaways you had from the interview? Like, is there anything else?
Yeah, only just a couple. He said that he coached under Bill Parcells, and he said, what was the biggest takeaway from learning under Bill Parcells? And he said, Bill Parcells was adamant on, quote, maximizing the athleticism of every player. And it was basically finding out, what do you do best? And then adjusting your system to put every person in a position that they are doing what they do best at all times. And to me, it's crazy to think that this just isn't how things work. Again, I've never played football, but it is pretty wild to me that coaches just don't do this, because it seems quite self-evident. But I don't know enough about football to know why it could be more complicated than I think.
Right.
But he says that is how we turned a supposed first-round bust in Charles Harris into the best edge rusher on the team, and had a career year.
Yeah.
Which is leading me to predict that Jared Davis will be the Charles Harris of 2022.
You've heard it here first on the Questionable Podcast.
Charles Harris, first-round pick, considered a bust. Jared Davis, first-round pick, considered a bust, but with a strong work ethic and crazy athleticism.
Well, he just got to stay healthy, right? I think, again, this is the big thing for this season. For us to be successful, everyone has to stay healthy. They all have to stay healthy. Now, we have backup parts for the wide receivers and running backs, right? But it's just our stars have to stay healthy. They have to.
Especially on defense, yeah.
Especially on defense. And Jared Goff has to stay healthy. He has to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Can we touch on the Kyler Murray thing? Because I have a quick thing, but let's finish Aaron Glen first.
Yeah. One last quick thing. And it was very interesting. And it was when he was talking about the natural mechanical advantage offenses have, and his whole philosophy and why he wants really physical safeties and really physical corners is he says, the way the game is weighted, the offense is at an advantage, except for inside those first 5 yards at the line of scrimmage. If you can put them on the ground within those 5 yards, you've eliminated them you've just completely eliminated them. So he is emphasizing his whole concept of defense is to maximize the value of those 5 yards. Because as soon as they're out of those 5 yards, the offense has the advantage. And so, but in those 5 yards, you have the advantage because you can just beat the hell out of them. And so that also was very interesting to me. And I'm very excited to see that play out. But that was that. And it was a fantastic interview. Listen to that. Go Easy had some really great takeaways on Woodward Sports.
Shout out to E. What's up, Easy?
End of the show.
You got to get Easy back on, man. We got to get it.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was. I mean, we're just waiting for the Lions. We're just grinding so hard on everything else right now.
Yeah.
Just you wait, listeners. Just you wait. Okay, so having said that, thank you, John, for that and breakdown. I didn't see it. I feel like I've seen it now. Thank you. No, I mean I have. I'll still probably watch it, but that was great. And I love
the podcast, so you can just listen to it in the car or something.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, in the podcast right after this. Look it up. Yeah. Fine. So I love John laughs at all my jokes. My jokes are not that funny, but I know what'll make John laugh, so it's fun for me. So anyway, so having said that, so Kyler Murray. So I want to hop in real quick. Kyler Murray's new contract got paid a lot of dough, right? Like $250 million. But in his contract, it says you have to watch tape. Like what?
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it says you have to watch tape. You have to watch this many hours of tape because dude just doesn't watch tape. Like he won't go and do his homework he's not Tom Brady. He's like, no, I trust my natural instincts. So he just doesn't watch tape. Then I'm like, why did you sign this guy to a massive deal? What Why would you? So he just trusts his instincts and stuff like that. So having said that, right? I heard this and I immediately fell in love with golf more. And I've never been a golf fan, right? I've told you this last year. I've never been a golf fan, right? And he won me over kind of, at the end of last season, at the beginning of this season, his interviews, his steadfastness, he just is there. He's consistent. And you got to appreciate consistency, because I appreciate consistency when I hire somebody, when I work with somebody, when I play with somebody on the sports field. Consistency. They're going to be there. You could trust. And that goes into what, John? Trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
So trust. So I can trust that they're going to do that. I'll trust that they'll be there if they can, right? And so to me, after hearing that with Kyler, I'm like, wow, I like Jared Goff even more now. He's not a prima donna. He's not, right? He's not out there trying to, shut down his social, right? Kyler Murray shut down his social after the loss last season. He is so dramatic. There's so much other stuff going on. Jared's just like, I want to prove everybody wrong. And that's the type of dude you want in your locker room. I want to prove everybody wrong. Because what am I doing, John? I'm trying to prove everybody wrong in my world, right? Yeah. And so I am going to work harder than anybody else to prove everybody wrong. So I would rather have a prove everybody wrong guy than a super talented younger guy. So that was my big takeaway after hearing about the contract. I'm like, well, I like Goff even more, right?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely amazing. And I think that's, again, speaks to, as we've been saying, the mindset of the players that this team is bringing in. Another thing that Aaron Glen said in that interview is that players who do not have this mentality of, I have an individual battle, I have to win, and I'm going to win at every play.
Yeah.
He said they don't last long here. He's like,
they can't.
You saw it last season. Like they ditched Jamie Collins, even like he was guaranteed money. They let him walk. It's like, no, he didn't have that attitude. And so Aaron Glen even used the word, he's like, players on this defense who do not have that attitude are traitors to this defense.
Whoa. He said that?
Yeah.
Those were his words?
Yes, you're a traitor to because he was like, because
wait, say this again. What? So, oh my gosh. Okay, this is huge. It's very interesting. That's a big word.
Yes. Oh yeah. It made me stand up a little straight. And because let's see, the Lions defense will always play hard, and that players that don't have this mindset of, I have an individual battle to win and I'm going to win it, are, quote, traitors to this defense. Because the guy standing next to you he does have that mindset, and you are letting him down with your attitude, with having that. And I think that just absolutely ties into what you just said about Kyler Murray. I remember when Miko sent in the group text, he sent that, and I was like, I wouldn't have paid that. Just because they're
a lot of flags.
The way Kyler Murray last season, it just seemed like the word that I was going to use was petulant. And as soon as things started to not go his way.
Hold on. Layman's moment. Okay. Layman corner. What does petulant mean?
It's like childish. It's like perfect. Moody, like
you kind of like could have just said
throwing a temper tantrum. Yeah, like a temper tantrum-y thing.
You could have just said childish.
But that's not the word that came to my mind.
I know, that's so amazing. You're so smart.
No, yeah. So like things wouldn't go his way, and he would kind of just be like a little tantrumy, and so like the fact that he like doesn't even do film is hilarious to me, and like just is perfectly in line. And I can't believe they just shelled out $250 million for this guy, who in the contract
they had to though.
They had to say you have to.
There's nobody else. They had to do it. It's just that's why they put in the contract, which is comical almost.
Yeah, but then but again, just talking about being grateful for what we have here, like just, and then hearing the exact stuff that Kyler is doing, to hear an interview with Aaron Glen being like, yeah, guys that act like that have no place on this team.
Well, I mean, that's to our point is that they're building a team. And so good on Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, and the leadership and coaching, and to Sheila, right? Let's give, give credit. Let's give credit where credit is due. I will give them credit right now. Let's see. We need to see the results, right? We get to see some wins. But I think everyone is positive, on the Lions this year. I think they could be, the Lions or the Jaguars could go from 0 to hero very fast. And wouldn't that be funny? Let's just, in a hypothetical, wouldn't that be funny if it's the Lions and Jags in like the finals? Like they wouldn't like what meeting up late in the postseason, Lions, Jags from 0 wins to like Super Bowl bound. How funny would that be?
It would be very funny. I think the Lions,
but it's just
to do it. I think the Lions are more likely. It's just Jacksonville. I think still has that like that dark cloud hanging over them, the way we did right after Patricia. Whether or not I don't know. Of course, this is where Miko
that's
would
fair. Yeah,
know like the name of the head coach, their new head coach, and maybe he does right the ship, but they still got the same owner, and they're still coming. I feel like how long did it take to shake off Patricia? And like I feel like Urban Meyer was even worse. If so that might take time. So
it's Doug Peterson though. But it's Doug Peterson. That's the coach of the Jags who took the Eagles and won a Super Bowl though.
Yeah, but I mean,
coach. I'm just saying it's different than going to a coach that hasn't coached to a coach, bringing a coach that's won a Super Bowl. I mean, it is different. I think there's something there. He's got a program. He's got a group. He's got a guy like he's done it. So I think the Jaguars have a good chance of being solid this year, but I do understand.
I just think, one off season, I don't think is enough.
Never know.
I do.
Oh my gosh, Gionne. So LA right now. He's just with it. He's feeling it. Gionne. Mm-hmm. All right, fine. Who's going to win the Super Bowl next year then? If you're feeling it.
Next year?
Yeah. Right. Let's go.
I don't know. You know who I want to win it?
Who you want to win, and I'm going to let you get out of the question. Miko would not. I'm very flexible. Miko will be like, no, answer the question.
Okay. I will answer the question.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and say they do the impossible. Buffalo Bills finally
get there.
Yeah.
You think the Bills get there?
I think so. Oh, Von Miller. And then they had a solid draft plus Von Miller. I mean, a couple of the missing people, like they are where the Rams were, where they're just like, oh, we are a few tokens.
It's like we're gonna do everything to get there, right? We've got. That's fair. You know who? Ooh.
And that is who I want to see. I got some family friends from the Buffalo area.
Buffalo
and Lake Erie brothers,
You know who I think?
Who's going to win it?
Raiders. Yeah. Devontae Adams going there.
Oh, God, he went there.
I think that was a piece that was needed. I think the Raiders are going to make a stand this year.
Huh. Okay.
That's now I always like to pick for wild cards. Like I'm not picking favorites. I'm picking those that I always like to pick. Like, that's how I like to bet. A couple of bucks on that, I'll make a couple more. So, but that's how I think. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Hey, we gotta get Miko's prediction.
Miko. Yeah, who would Miko say? I mean, I'm not gonna say, but who would Miko might agree with you on the Bills. He might go like Kansas City or something. Be like,
I was just thinking Chiefs. I think he'd say Chiefs.
Yeah, because they lost Tyreek Hill and they're gonna like prove it. Be like, we don't need him.
Right.
Also, the other team that's gonna be good this year that was not great. I mean, the Dolphins. I mean, Tyreek over there with Tua, he can get him the ball. I mean, Tyreek Hill is going to get you at least. I mean, the points he can get, the yards he can get, if you can scheme it well, right? That's up to the coaches. But we'll see. So anyway, that was fun. That was interesting. Okay, all right. All right. I think that about covers it today. Is there anything else we should cover, talk about? No, I think we're good. Yeah, man. I did see Dylan Larkin today. He was there. So I got to talk because he remembers me, right, for the stuff that I do for him separately. But Dylan, I said, "What's up?" And I said, "Dude, did you know what Eisman was doing? You have any idea?" He goes, no clue.
Really?
He goes, "We knew there was some moves to be made, but he goes, not that many." He goes, "He didn't know it." He goes, "We are so excited." He goes, "Eisman has revived, like the room is buzzing. The guys are like, wait, what just happened?" So, we're watching, and this is something to think about too, as we watch and talk and analyze and, do our best to analyze, right? Thank you, listeners out there, for your patience and support. But when we talk about like, oh my gosh, I was going crazy, all this stuff, but like, think about if you're on the team. And that was the one thing I got from Dylan was like, dude, he was weird. His eyes got bug-eyed. He goes, "We're so excited." I was like, oh shit, I bet you are. Like, you've got a bunch of help, like you've been working your butts off, right? They've been working their tails off with what they've been given to get through the cap, right? The cap deal. And now they got a bunch of new like teammates, right? That you got to learn, you got to work with, but talent. So that was interesting. And so I'm wondering too, if that's the Lions, right? When they draft these players, they just get excited. Like, oh my gosh, I got another, right? Like, think about Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? As a wide receiver, feeling like he's got to be the guy. Dude, you as a teammate, you got to be so happy. You get DJ Chark.
Yeah, Chark first.
Reynolds. And then you're getting, oh, I'm sorry, like Speedy McSpeedersons. Like, what would you like? You got to feel when you go on the field, right? It's like look good, feel good, play good, right? You go out the field, but like they're scared of us, and I know they're scared of us, and I'm going to show them why they should be scared of us. So all those guys going on the field, all those, man, like going out there, right? You have to be like. And think about Jared Goff being like, all right, like he could swagger and be like, I got a team again. You know what I mean? Like, think about how confident he's got to feel. Like, I'm very happy for the guys, that pushed through last season. I mean, they got new teammates, new talent. It was funny that clicked with me when I asked when I asked him that question. His eyes got huge because we're so excited, and he was just like ready to go, like right now, and he's got the longest time to go before his season, right? So, so the Lions got to be feeling good too, and we should all feel good too. So hopefully, a couple more wins and everything else. But
good vibes.
Yeah, but I think that's it, John. Right? I think we did it.
I do have a Zack Snyder story though.
I'm keeping it in now. Z Snyder, what happened?
So I had a buddy of mine worked in Hans Zimmer's studio. He was like one of like the assistant composers at Hans's studio.
Justin?
Andy. And so he was there, and like when Hans meets with all the directors and yada yada, and they talk about themes and story and everything. And so he was there when Hans was doing the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight. Like that was his time there, and all of those. And so he said, like Christopher Nolan comes in, and he and Hans sit there and they talk for like 6-7 hours about, story arcs and characters and themes and subtext and all this juicy art, and and he said Zack Snyder comes in for Man of Steel.
Yep.
And Hans is like starts talking to him, and he's like, "How do you want the music?" And he's like. And Zack Snyder just goes, quote, "I just want it to be awesome."
That's it.
And Hans is like, okay, like I, not wanting to be he's like, oh yeah, sure. Okay, but like, he's an alien. He's alone in the world. Is he, how does that translate? And Zack Snyder goes, I don't know, man. I just want it to be fucking awesome.
That's it. That's a directive.
That's it. So.
Those are great and also horrible, right? When I hear somebody say, I just want the video to be sexy, it's like, okay, what do you think sexy is? Like, what? I want it to pop. Okay, well, what you want me to have, like a popcorn pop? Like, what do you mean you want it to pop? You want some colors in it? Like, what do you? It means something different to everybody. That's so interesting. So that, okay, interesting, interessante.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're playing this one an episode.
Man, we going all the way.
Good vibes.
We about to celebrate. Why? Because the Lions won a game.
We're doing that once an episode. I'll put it at the end. It's awesome because we're going to win, hopefully, a bunch of games. Anyway, so Gionne, I want to thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for your patience earlier. Miko, we hope you are having a blast driving with the family. Good luck. You're probably not having fun yet. You're probably pretty tired. But anyway, so I hope you have fun though. I want to shout to everybody, the Questionable crew, everyone that supports. Please like, follow, subscribe. Lauren Valley did pay us for the lunch. She did sponsor the lunch. So thanks. Shout out to LV, Lauren, Lolo V's.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to have to get her on the pod. Yeah, she's a triathlete coach, Ironman, like 3 times.
Like a world ranked.
Yeah. Top 10 in the world. Top 10 in the world at her age. Shout out to you, sis. What's happening? But yeah, so anyway, shout out to everybody. My wife, my daughter, my family for the support. And especially I want to thank my friends. I want to thank you, Gionne. I want to thank Miko. I want to thank my friend John Wargo. He's been super supportive as of, he's always supportive, but as of late, there's been a lot going on. I've been learning the midnight oil. Is that what we say these days? I've been doing double, triple duty. So I want to thank him for his support. And again, all the friends out there, Matt's Ball, thank him for the support too. But again, John, I want to thank you mainly though for all your support. You've been like a brother to me. You've been so supportive and so influential in my growth as a person. So I want to thank you for that. Again, Miko as well. He's here. I will thank him in 2 weeks because we won't have him next week. But anyway, thank you, everyone. Please appreciate each other. I've been trying to do that recently. Appreciate the people you do and should appreciate. So thank you, Gionne.
Yeah, want to thank my wife first and foremost.
Hi, Reg.
Yes, you for starting this podcast, and Miko, much deserved break. And yeah, the folks, the parents, the sister, the family. Yeah, we all, each person in their own, it's like the Aaron Glen thing. Each person in their own way helps you, in their own way as best they can.
Right. Totally.
Even if it may not seem like it, even if it may not seem like it
at the time, right? At the time, doesn't seem like it, but it can come back around, right?
Maybe look back and be like, oh, that was the moment where,
right? Just like the way my battery is overheated in LA for LA Deli interview helped me today get through what I need to get through. Never would have guessed it.
Yeah.
So here's to batteries.
Yep.
And the LA Deli interview. All right, you guys, please like, follow, subscribe. This is the Questionable Podcast. Out.